welcome to Oweleke Business Times. I am Chiwendu Osisiogo. Today we'll be discussing on the place of the youth in national development. The role of the youth in nation building is to provide fresh perspectives and energy to help drive economic development and social progress. As the future leaders of the country, they have a responsibility to contribute to making society better for everyone. Today in the studio, we have the Chief of Staff to the President, All African Student Union, who will be discussing with us on that shortly after the break. Welcome back from that break. Like I said, we'll be discussing on the topic, the place of the youth in the national development. And I have with me today the Chief of Staff to the President, All African Student Union, and person, Comrade Morgan Ocheko. You're welcome to Oweleke Business Time.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here, and good morning to you all.
Good morning, and welcome. All right, so let's go straight to the topic for today. We're talking about the place of the youth in nation building. To a layman understanding, what can you say? Who can we refer to as a youth?
In the Nigerian context, if you want to define youth, it can be defined as a group of young persons from the ages of 15 to 29. This varies according to countries because the African Charter made us understand that the youth demographic can be defined as a group of persons, young persons, male or female, from the ages of 15 to 35. So what is obtainable in Nigeria might not probably be what is obtainable in other countries of Africa, putting into consideration the African context, you understand. So if you want to bring it back to Nigeria, you want to look at the group of persons from the ages 15 to 30, male or female. Mm-hmm. And it generally defines the larger population of the demographics in Nigeria. So I think it is very, very important we discuss about youth and her contributions to national development.
So it's usually say that adult and youth sound alike, or they are the same meaning. Are they the same thing?
Well, there's this similarity, but they're actually not the same.
Okay.
You understand? Because we're meant to understand that from within the ages of 15 to 30, as the case may be with Nigeria, or 35, as the African Charter puts it, that is what this is trying to put to us is, if you are above these ages of 30 or 35, as the case may be, you are no longer termed as a youth. But again, from the ages of 18 and to whatever age, you could be classified as an adult. So you see where the difference is.
Okay, I understand the difference. So it's like, okay, how has this youth contributed to the growth and development of the nation, Nigeria as a whole?
Well, if you want to talk about youth's contributions to national development, you want to take it back, right from the time of Nigeria's independence, and how the role the youths have played with regards to Nigerian quest for hard development. And you begin to bring some factors in with regards to what was available then and what is attainable now, and the kind of youths that agree into leadership today, and the kind of youth we have today that we envisage will grow into leadership tomorrow. Now, you cannot unmarry the situations you have on ground then, what was available to youth as at that time, the situation you have on ground now, and what is available to the youths of this day. You really cannot unmarry them. Now, if you want to talk about what was obtainable in the past, we're faced with a society where almost everything was there for everybody. At the time where the youth of these nations were actually lobbied to come to school with some incentives and all whatnot. We had that when our parents were asked to go to school. They went to school, had free educations, some were paid stipends, some were given allowances like transport allowances and the rest of it. But is that what is obtainable in the current society now? No. In the current society, you have to strive. You have to strive to go to school, and even when you gain admission to go to school, the burden of financing yourself or your parent financing you is another to take from. Now, what this means is it brings us back to the phrase that says, to whom much is given,
Much is expected.
much is expected. And that is why you can relate issues with things that have happened in the past and now, and you begin to wonder why people say youth of the past actually had more impact than what we are having today. So if you look at this whole thing, you understand that it is quite relative. It is quite relative in the sense that if you have an enabling environment as a person, your contributions to society will be much more than when you have to put some things together on your own. You understand?
Yes.
That is, the current situation as it may be will hamper with whatever speed you intend to operate. So that might not blame on youth participation with regards to contributions to national development. You might want to blame that on the system. But again, where you want to talk about, if you want to talk to the youth directly with regards to their contributions these days, a lot has also gone wrong with our behaviors as a people. You tend to go around these days and you find youths in several other vices that are quite negative, that does not in one way contribute to personal
Society.
development, let alone national development. On our streets today, on our campuses and all of the places, drug abuse has become a norm. It wasn't like that with the youth of the past. You see a lot of youth go into cyber crimes today because they want to have this access to quick cash. It wasn't like that. You understand? And a lot of all of these things boil down to the fact that you want to meet up with what the society demands of you. But again, it will make you lose morals with regards to what you intend to do and then where you ought to go from your current status, because it has to start. National development starts from an individual.
Of course.
You understand? You have to build yourself first before you can build
Build
people around you and build society around you. So it's just that way.
All right, thank you. So, as the Chief of Staff to the President of African Student Union, I'm very sure that you've been to one school, to another school, touring around as the Chief of Staff. How would you assess Nigerian youth? Do you feel they are lazy? Because a lot of people have this mentality that Nigerian youth are lazy. And with the rate of unemployment, a lot of people are relaxed and people are not really doing anything. So, what would you say with your own assessment?
I will disagree with that in totality when they say Nigerian youth are lazy. Nigerian youth are not lazy. Nigerian youth are just how do I put it? I don't want to use the word like they've lost hope. You understand? They are trying to find a means to an end. You understand? Because they feel the system has actually failed them. So it's a case of all man for himself. You understand? And when it becomes a case of all man for himself,
Hustlers.
yes, when it becomes a case of all man for himself, any man does anything to survive. And in trying to do anything to survive, you go out doing what you ought not to do. You understand? But when you say whether Nigerian youths are lazy, I would disagree with that in totality. Because even in the mix of all the negativities, we still have brilliant Nigerian youths that are making us proud, not just within the country, but on a global level.
All right, thank you so much. All right, before we take a quick break, I wanted to ask that can you review the government policies on the youths? What will you say about that?
Well, you see, in trying to review government policies on the youth, it brings us back to a very worrisome situation. Like government policies are usually very, very excellent on paper, but where we have issues is implementations. You understand? If you look at government blueprints, you want to say, wow, this is quite this is quite that. But again, it is appalling the way these policies are being implemented. We want to believe the present administration of His Excellency President Tinubu is coming up with quite lofty policies that is meant to transform the economy, and I think it's youth inclusive. And then what we can say, like I will always tell every other person that cares to listen, is these things are there, and the body language of Mr. President shows that he really wants to stand up to those things. So it is better for us to be patient a little while watch where he wants to go from the things he has said and to implementing some of those things. So let us not be negative about everything, because the system has made everybody wants to think everything negative about Nigeria. No Nigerian youth wants to see anything positive about Nigeria. And that in its effect has actually caused us a lot of brain drains. You understand? You see, youths want to leave the shores of the country because they want to go get greener pasture somewhere else. But for some of us who doesn't have any place other than Nigeria, the onus is on us to remain behind and keep preaching the pan-Nigerian project.
For how long? If you go and talk to any Nigerian youth now, you're telling them to be patient. How long? They will ask her for how long. For the last administration, they were patient for like 8 years. Now this is just the beginning of a new administration, and we're not even up to a year, and you can feel the hardship now.
Yes, I don't want us to relate the current hardship to whether we are getting to where we ought to go. Now, we must understand that no pain, no gain. And it is said that the darkest part of the night is closest to morning. You don't just jump from one avenue of hardship and you want to fly into another avenue of luxury without passing through certain steps. You drop the same way you fly. You understand? So, for me, I think there has been a lot of decadence within the system, and to usher in repairs, it requires these very gradual processes, and everything just have to follow suit. So let us just, countries like America and the UK, where people see it as heaven today and wants to go. Once upon a time, we're told that in America there were times that people needs to eat crumbs, even from dustbins and stuff like that. I don't know how true that was, but I think they had gone through their own dark moments, and today they are here. So if we must achieve that Nigerian of our collective dream, I think we just have to bear the brunt now and make sure we do things the way they ought to be done.
I thank you very much, Comrade Morgan Ocheko. We'll take a quick break now. We'll be right back.
Follow us on our social media handles at Oweleke TV. Visit our website at www.oweleketv for a thrilling journey. Oweleke TV, rising star at the fairground.
Welcome back from that break. All right, Comrade Morgan Ocheko is still with us in the studio, the Chief of Staff to the President All African Students Union, ASU. Okay, still, sir, how has this government policies, before we went on the break, we're talking about the government policies on the youth. So how would you say these policies have impacted the society?
Well, you can only, if you want to talk government policies, you have to start with talking government policies from this administration, because the previous administration has little or no effect with regards to policies on youth. But I think we have seen Mr. President's policies on youth, and they are quite lofty. The government is barely here, and I want to believe at this stage you will not begin to see results, because there are a lot of work underground going on. We've seen policies like the student loans, which is directly for the students, and at some point in time there were outcries like the procedures are quite tedious and not a lot of persons will meet them. But we saw instances where the government came out and was like, no, we shouldn't listen to everything we see on the media, and that all you needed to access this loan is your JAM number, your matric number, and all of just very basic information that are not even cumbersome, you understand. So what I really don't know yet is when this ground will take off. So for me, since this is on ground already, we'll wait for when implementation begins, you understand, and then we can actually judge based on that. And then this government is coming on board, meeting a very, very tight economic situations where there are no much funds on ground, where the government just announced subsidy removal, and there's meant to be a lot of hardship on Nigeria as a result of subsidy removal and the rest of it. So everything don't seems like they are going too well at the moment. But I want to assure the Nigerian youth that if we can hold Mr. President by his word, I think we're about to see a different kind of impact on the Nigerian youth with regards to government policies on youth.
Okay, so why waiting for the policies to be implemented? What's the way forward for youth?
The youth should do their own part. And when we say the youth should do their own part, just like we will ask our leaders to do their own part. You see, this whole thing is a collective effort. It's not just about the youth. It's not just about leadership, if you understand. I would tell people most of the times that our leaders are usually not our problems, but we, the followers, which bulk is the youth. For instance, you don't see an adult being hired as an election thug. You don't see an adult standing on the road, constitute themselves as bandits and the rest of it, you understand? Most of these menaces, the people you find around these menaces are from the youth demographic, you understand? Now, what we can do on our own as youth is, we have to sit aback, think of what we can offer ourselves first, think of how we can better our society. If we're able to do that from within our immediate environment, the effect is ripple. You understand? You affect even generations yet unborn with little decisions you make around you. And we need to take cognizance of the fact that we must stay off crime, we must stay off every negative vices, and above all, we must learn to be patriotic, because that is one thing that we have lost as a people. I'm talking in general terms now, not only with the youth. Nigerians have actually lost the act of patriotism. And that is why you see we don't see anything good in our countries, we don't see anything good in leadership, we don't even see anything good amongst ourselves. So we need to imbibe that patriotic zeal for us to be able to, because the government cannot come and give you everything you ask for. Some things you need to give to yourselves. Or you rather need to make yourself ready for certain things that will come your way first. Like people will say, they say how do they put it? They say when is the opportunity meets when they are ready and then you are being met with an opportunity, that synergy will be seamless. But what if you are confronted with an opportunity and you are not very ready? You understand? So I think we should always make ourselves ready for whatever that will come.
All right, sir. So what's your final take before we close?
My final take would be that everybody should do their own bit on the side of the youth, on the side of leadership. And it is high time we begin to think in line with the words of the former president of the United States of America, John F. Kennedy, during his inaugural speech when he was speaking to the people and asked them that they should ask not what the country will do for them, rather they should ask what they can do for the country. I think we're at that stage where we need to begin to ask what we can do to better our country and not what the country will do to better us. If we begin to think in that light, then in the nearest future, you and I and others will not be thinking of moving abroad to get a better place. Wherever you are going to was built by some individuals, so why don't we stay back and build our own society to the envy of others? So I think all hands must be on deck. Everybody should do what they ought to do. If you are appointed to an office, you should do what you need to do. If you are elected, you should serve your people right. If you are a youth, if you need skills, you should learn very well. If you are in school, put your heads down, study, and then stay off every negative vices, and then let us see what happens from there.
All right, thank you very much, Comrade Morgan Oweleke. You have said it all, that everyone should do their own bit. You really don't have to wait for the government to do everything for you. The government cannot come out from their shell, from their houses to do everything for you. So as a Nigerian, you need to believe in your country. Instead of running to other countries, you need to stay Ask what you can do to better your country and not the other way round. On this note, I want to say a very big thank you to Comrade Morgan Ocheko for coming on Oweleke Business Time. It was good to have you.
Thank you very much.
All right, and that's the much we have for you today on Oweleke Business Time. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. On Facebook at Oweleketv. Our website is www.oweleke.tv. I am Chiwendu Osisiogo. Do have a wonderful day and thank you for watching.